at the weekend's fixtures. Me and Sim do go head-to-head on our other channel called On The Ball in predicting Premier League outcomes. We have a scoring system, which is 5 points for a goal, 5 points for a correct score, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, we pick them at the end of each episode, and it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. You can't predict that. You can't pick them again for the rest of the season. Sim is on 281, and I'm on 300. So let's go and see how the games went over this midweek period. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. Sim went for 1-0. I went for 2-1. So I got a big fat 5 pointer. Sim got 1 point going into this game. And it was very similar to what I was saying. I mean, I predicted it in saying that, Fulham will give Arsenal a hard time and Saka will come on and win the game for Arsenal. It didn't really work out in kind of that manner. Arsenal obviously took the lead. Saka came on, scored the goal, put it 2-1. And then towards the end of the game, Fulham had a late flurry with Muniz coming on, gave them a lot of trouble, scored a goal, could add another one just before that. And even Ryan Sessegnon came on and caused them trouble as well. I think Arsenal were fairly lucky to get out of that game with 3 points with the way the last 10 minutes went.
Yeah, it was a bit too little too late, but I think the big story coming out of this game was obviously Gabriel's injury.
Yeah.
Hamstring injury. He's now officially announced that he's missing the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Massive blow. Well, obviously, we know that the title's going to be beyond them anyway, but obviously this win did put them temporarily 9 points behind Liverpool before their result against Everton. But obviously, with Champions League, a tie against Real Madrid just around the corner, what hope do they have without Gabriel and no striker?
Mbappe and Vinicius up against Kiwior and Saliba. Can't see it.
I would put Timber centre-back if I was then move Ben White's fit. Go put him on the right. Or Ben White at centre-back.
Ben White's injured, though.
He was injured. Yeah, he was in the squad, but he just come back. So I don't know what happened.
Problems apparently.
Yeah, but that's obviously a massive blow for Arsenal, Gabriel, because that partnership is that's what's been keeping them somewhat competitive. I think
he's been their best player this season, and you don't really hold any hope. But it is just one player. And now Saka's back. They're going to have that kind of.
It's not though, because they've got the no striker as well.
Edge. Yeah, true. How about it's out for the rest of the season? That's true. Look, I think it is going to be detrimental to them at the end of the day, but I think on a one-off game they could potentially pull something out of the bag. But
2 legs.
Yeah, I just can't see it against all the might that Real Madrid have.
I think if they had Gabriel as a chance, maybe they could share-house it to penalties, but I just can't see it now. Can't see how they survive without Gabriel.
What a shame. How my heart bleeds for them.
Massive shame.
Yeah. Let's move on to Wolves against West Ham. It finished 1-0 to Wolves. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 1-1. And West Ham's poor results continue. Wolves getting a really good 3 points here. No Cunha, no problem once again. Jacob Strand-Larsen, 10 goals this season for Wolves. Great season, great debut season he's had in the Premier League.
People are going to be sniffing around him soon, you reckon?
I think he's a really good player. I really like him.
Yeah, he's come into the Premier League and done really, really well. So fair play to him. Nice goal as well. So fair play to Strand-Larsen. Fair play to Wolves. Another win that just keeps them going towards safety. Really big to get the win in this one because it could have easily been a game they dropped points. And now that's 2 wins in a row without Cunha. Now Cunha's back. So
apparently he's not back this weekend.
Is he not?
No.
Is it one more game?
Yeah, apparently so.
Okay, it's one more game after. But you know what's big? We'll go into it, but they got Ipswich, so that's quite a big game. But look, fair play to Wolves. Really good win. They've actually done quite well in recent weeks. The last 5 games, 3 wins and a draw. So really getting the results when they needed. So fair. West Ham, though, it just hasn't clicked yet under Graham Potter, it's fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. Forest against Manchester United next, finished 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. He went for 2-1. I went for 1-0, so I get another 5-pointer going into this one. I mean, this one was obvious. It was always going to finish 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. But Man U did have their chances. They just didn't put them in the back of the net. But I'm just looking at the 2 centre-backs in Milenkovic and Murillo, and those are the 2 players I mentioned before the game in the preview. And I was like, these 2 guys are just getting them through games at the moment. And what a partnership that these guys have. Maguire comes on in the latter stages of the game. I think he had the majority of the Man U chances, to be honest. He's got to be doing better with the chances that he had. One of them, a header, it goes nearer the corner flag than into the back of the net. And the other one, Murillo clears off the line, where if Maguire puts it in any other part of the goal, it's probably a goal.
Yeah, Maguire's chance in the last minute, that was more of a clearance than anything. What a chance that was. And look, they had their chances, Man United. 100% they had their chances, and they ended up fluffing them near the end. Bruno, I thought, actually had a really good game on this occasion. But
he's performing really well week in, week out.
Just got player of the month.
Yeah.
So fair play to him. Pretty good performances over this month, Bruno. Maybe starting to really flourish under Amorim. But Forest just keep going, don't they? 3 wins on the trot now after they were stumbling. And now they've just gone 3 wins, really cementing themselves into that top 5. So they're now, if we're saying 5th is Champions League, they're 7 points clear of Newcastle. Yeah. So really in a good position. Although Newcastle have a game in hand, it seems.
Yeah, I can't see Forest throwing this away. They look too solid at the back. It's very hard to beat them. Because even if they pick up a few draws here and there, you know what I mean? Like, I think that'll be enough.
Great goal by Langer as well. Ran the whole pitch
against his old team right at the start of the game. It's not what you want to see when you're going to the City ground, going 1-0 down early, because you know they can just defend anything. So credit to Nuno, credit to Nottingham Forest, really good side, and I think Champions League football is going to be theirs to them next season. Like what a story it is, you know, former European Cup winner back in the Champions League next season.
It's a great story. It also makes other teams look at that and think what's possible, because they last season they finished 17th.
Yeah.
So remarkable their rise, and if they can do it, you know, I know, and I don't think this is like a kind of Leicester-esque thing. I think they're like, I mean,
an actual good team.
They're like, yeah, I expect them to be declining next season probably, but in terms of they spent a lot of money, like Leicester just came out of nowhere, like they just survived relegation. Actually, it was pretty much a similar team that they survived relegation with, maybe plus Kante, that kept them that won the league. But this is like they have invested heavily, and they have a lot of good players there. So it goes to show you make the right smart recruitments, this is what you can do.
And when they started spending all that money, everyone was like, "Oh, Marinakis don't know what he's doing. He's bringing in 20,000 players." Well, who's laughing now?
Yeah, look at him, 3rd in the league and doing brilliantly.
Yeah. Bournemouth 1, Ipswich 2. We both went for 3-1 to Bournemouth. What is happening with Iraola, and what is happening with Bournemouth? Because they cannot get any results at the moment. Their form is completely dried up. Losing at home to Ipswich is a kind of really, really poor result. Credit to Ipswich, by the way, because they desperately needed these points. I thought they were good in this game. Liam Delap, I thought, had an especially good game. But, what's happening with Bournemouth?
1 win in 7 in all comps, and that win was on penalties at home to Wolves. So they are struggling. And the only draw was at Tottenham. So he couldn't even beat Spurs, which is an indictment. Ever since he's started getting heavily linked to the Spurs job, is he taking his eye off the ball? Do you reckon there's some of that? Or is it just a case of, are they running on empty with the high energy style he likes to play? We've seen it a few times when a few of these managers, they implement this style, and then come the last bit of the season, they can puff out a bit. Yeah. Is that happening? Are the injuries are the injuries catching up to him? Because they've had a lot of injuries this season.
Those injuries kind of dried up ages ago. So I don't know if it's to do with the injuries. I don't know what it. I think they're just like running out of steam a little bit. Yeah,
in the Premier League, it's 4 defeats in the last 5, with 1 draw there as well, no win. They were once really not shoo-in, but looking really likely for European football, and now they're 10th.
Yeah, but you're looking at it right. I know Justin Kluivert didn't play this game, but you're looking at Semenyo, Utara, Kluivert, players that were really coming up trumps for them. They've all kind of dried up massively. The only one really that is impacting their attack and getting goals and stuff is Evan Nilsson since he's come back. So I feel like their attacking players are not really producing for them at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think when it comes to Bournemouth, they're in terrible form, and it'll be interesting. What would be the narrative on Bournemouth this season? They end up finishing bottom half.
What would be the narrative? I mean, I think that probably an expectation before the season.
But in terms of the job Iraola's doing, is he going to be up for top jobs if they end up crumbling to bottom half?
I think clubs will second guess it for sure. For sure, clubs will second guess it, and I think they'll probably want to see him have another season at Bournemouth and see what he can do before actually going for him. For the Spurs job, right?
He's also lost to Bournemouth and Ipswich and Leicester.
I think for the Spurs job, I think if this carries on, if this is a little blip, then fair enough. But if this carries on for the end of the season, I don't think Spurs go for him.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of questions asked. But I still think he's a good manager, don't get me wrong. But it's the way they've kind of crumbling a bit at the end is kind of worrying for them. But maybe if you're a Bournemouth fan, it means you might be able to keep him for a bit longer. So it's weird how to feel about it.
Yeah, but he's in these contract talks. Bournemouth want him to sign a contract. Apparently he's huffing and puffing about it because of the interest in him. So maybe there is a bit of thing about getting his head turned.
Ipswich, though, good win. Really good win. Well, not easy, even though Bournemouth are in great form to win there. And look, I'm not saying they have much of a chance, but the reality is their next game is Wolves. If they win that, they cut the gap to 6. Still a mountain to climb even at that point, but if they do win that game, give themselves a fighting chance at least.
Yeah, I can't see them beating them because I think Wolves just in such good form at the moment.
Is that Portman Road?
It is. Look, there's a chance. Of course there's a chance Ipswich can win the game, but I just can't see it.
After just beating Bournemouth, you never know.
Maybe.
Fair play to them. Great win.
But they've given themselves a little bit of a chance anyway by winning this game.
They need to go on a serious run, though.
Yeah. Brighton against Aston Villa finished 3-0 to Villa. Unbelievable at the Amex. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 2-1 for Brighton. Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked at this result. You're looking at the goal scorers for Aston Villa: Rashford, Marlon, and Asensio. What a signing Asensio's been, by the way. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Came on and got a goal and an assist, I think.
I know, and every single time he comes off the bench, he seems to do something. He's got such quality about him. You're looking at these 3 players. They signed all 3 of them in January. I can't remember a better January transfer window than Aston Villa's. 3 players that have come in and all, like Marlon, maybe not so much as the other 2, but Rashford and Asensio have all made such a big impact.
Yeah, they've done brilliant. And obviously I was surprised to hear there was Rashford's first Premier League goal because I thought he would have done more.
He hasn't started in the Premier League.
He's done
starting
cups
in
Europe in the cups.
Yeah,
and he's done quite well on those as well, hasn't he? So he's been a really breath of fresh air for Aston Villa. They've really missed that kind of pace on the wing since Diaby's gone. I feel like they kind of gave Philogene a run out for a bit, and hadn't done it.
He's gone now.
He's gone to Ipswich, and I think Rashford has really given that ejection that they needed. Asensio just added that little bit of creativity as well that they've been lacking. I think that Villa side before them 2 are really lacking in kind of goals and kind of firepower, and with those 2, they've just added that little shot on the arm that they needed in the second half.
Them, hasn't it?
This season they were stumbling a bit. So great win. Brighton as well. Brighton, on brilliant form going into this game. So the fact they got absolutely annihilated, it was a bit of a tactical masterclass, I felt, by Unai Emery on this occasion. Did really well, just soaking up the pressure and then just hitting them ruthlessly. And when you got that kind of quality with Rashford and Asensio in the form that they're in, doing very well.
Yeah, they're building a really good side there. Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa at the back. I really like both of those centre-backs. I think Ezri Konsa is so underrated. I think he's a really good player. And you've got Tielemans and Kamara sitting in the double pivot. I think brilliant from them. And you've got Rodgers, who's had an unbelievable season. And Ramsey seems to be, bursting onto the scene as well this season. So they've got some top players there.
With Watkins on top of that. But it can still go one of 2 ways. Villa season. It's still. I'll be very. Obviously,
if you're to win this game as well.
If you're a Villa fan though, it's like obviously you're excited with the team, but it could it's hard to know where it's going to go this season because they could easily crash out of the Champions League next round, and then in the league they're still only 4 points off 10th, so it can go either way. But then again, they're only 4 points off 4th. So it can go either way. Can really go either way.
Well, they're at home to Forest this weekend. Massive game. Then they go away to Southampton, home to Newcastle, and away to Man City. So some big games coming up for them.
In all competitions,
7 wins in a row.
Yeah, 7 wins in a row. Look at that. I didn't realise they're on such good form.
Yeah, but actually, if you look at their form just in the Premier League, it's not so great.
But still, within the Champions League and FA Cup including, that's still significant.
Yeah. But Brighton, on the other hand, going out the FA Cup, and now with a 3-0 defeat at home on the back of that brilliant form that they're on, if they've got any ambitions of European football next season, they need to go back on that form.
Yeah, they're still very much in the fight.
Yeah. Next up is Manchester City 2, Leicester 0. Both of us went for 4-0. Just a nice little routine victory for Man City. No Haaland, no problem. Marmoush obviously getting on the score sheet. Leicester, you didn't really ever think Leicester were going to do anything in this game.
Yeah, another game without a goal for Leicester. Another game where they just meekly succumbed to defeat. 2 goals in the first half, and it was just easy does it kind of. Fair play to Jack Grealish, his first goal since 2023, I believe.
Wow.
So a long time ago. And he kind of commemorated the goal, said it was for in memory of his younger brother, or his brother, who passed away. So fair play to Jack. I'm happy for him that he got that goal.
When's the last time he started?
Yeah, a long time ago. Mamouche filling in. But yeah, look, I don't think Man City were overly impressive in this game. I guess
did enough to get the job done.
Yeah. Good. The story though, De Bruyne is set to leave Man City at the end of the season, end of an era.
Yeah,
for Man City, and
he's going to go down as one of the best midfielders that the Premier League has ever seen, if not, well, yeah, definitely one of the best midfielders, if not the best 10 the Premier League has ever seen.
Is that him done at the top level, do we think?
Yeah, I think he's going to go MLS, apparently.
His legs do seem to have gone a bit, to be honest, unfortunately. Some of his things, some performance I'm seeing from him, he's just not the same guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, what a career he's had. What amount of trophies he's won, you know. He got nothing else to prove at the top level. No. So go enjoy, relax, go to the MLS. He'll ball it out in the MLS as well. And that'll be that for Kevin De Bruyne. But Man City win. Leicester are all but down pretty much. But Man City, where does that leave them?
5th. Still, they're 1 point behind Chelsea in 4th and 1 point ahead of Newcastle in 6th. So it's still so tight.
Yeah. Next up, Newcastle 2, Brentford 0.
It was 2-1 actually.
2-1. It was 2-1. And we both went for 2-1 to Brentford because we thought Newcastle would be on the beach a little bit or still kind of recovering after those trophy celebrations. It wasn't really like that, was it? I mean,
it wasn't a great
fairly well.
I mean, it took a massive slice of luck, didn't it, to get the win? Tonali's shot come cross.
That was no cross, mate.
You reckon it was a shot? You reckon he shot?
See how hard he hit that.
He did hit it very hard. Well, he said it himself. It was 70% cross, 30% shot. He said.
I don't know what cross you hit that hard though.
Yeah, fair. I mean, he said himself it was 70% cross.
Yeah, fair play. But I mean, I'm looking at it and the way he hit it, it just doesn't seem like
it did
cross.
look like it was a drilled shot, but maybe he tried to drill the cross. I don't know, but
maybe it was just a drilled cross that he got all wrong. I don't know, but it just seemed like too perfect to be a cross.
It's just whatever it is, it was 1 in a million. That's what it was. And, it was at the time when Newcastle were kind of struggling the game, and Buemo just put away a penalty. It looked like Brentford were building up some momentum, and then Newcastle ended up getting the winner. So fair play to them.
Brentford were well on top when Tonali scored. I thought Newcastle were the better team in the first half, and Brentford kind of came into the second half as they usually like to do. Like, how many times this season have you seen like Brentford being 1-0 down, and in the second half they just turn it on and can counter attack with the likes of Sade, Wissa, and Buemo, but just didn't have enough in this game.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Next up, Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1. Sim went for 2-1 to Palace. I went for 3-0 to Palace. And Southampton were leading this game all the way up until the final stages of the game. And I really thought this was going to be 3 points to Southampton because they were the better team on the day. Crystal Palace were poor, really poor. And they just about got away with it.
Yeah, got a franker in the last minute with the goal, which saved Crystal Palace's blushes, especially with Palace, the form they've been on. You would have thought surely they're going to be going to this game with a lot of confidence. They'll take it to them and win the game. But Southampton deservedly got in the lead, and it looked like before the game, the manager for Southampton said, "Our goal is to not be the worst ever Premier League side this season." That's his goal.
Imagine having that as a goal. Right? Come on,
that's his goal, and they
what else have they got?
Nearly did it. They nearly did it, but that last gasp equalised from Palace got to be a bit of a dagger into the heart in this one.
After seeing that performance, though, do you still think do you think that was their big chance, or do you think that they will do it?
Let me see what games they got left. That was definitely their big chance, considering they're 1-0 up. But they've got us, then they've got Villa. Then they've got West Ham, Fulham. They do have Leicester, Man City, Everton, and Arsenal.
Beat Leicester.
If Leicester away,
they
got Leicester away. That's the only. I think they lose all the other one.
But you're looking at the way Southampton have been playing and the way Leicester have been playing. You think Southampton have been playing better?
Much better, yeah, for sure. For sure, they got a chance. They got a chance. But
we heard about Leicester, by the way, with Harry Winks.
What about it?
Ruud van Nistelrooy banished him from the squad because Winks wanted to go home. He lives in London still, and he wanted to go home. And Rude says, no, you have to stay at the training ground for one night because they had to do something, whatever. And Winks went home, so he banished him from the squad.
Jesus, didn't hear about that. Bloody Winksy. Rebel Winks.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think it all comes down to that Leicester game, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, Merseyside derby. Liverpool 1, Everton 0. Who finished, Sim went for 3-1, I went for 2-1. I mean, the big talking point is Tarkowski, isn't it?
Wow, how was he not sent off? Oh, I was baffled that the referee didn't send him off. I couldn't believe it when the VAR didn't, and they looked at it very quickly and decided very quickly that.
So they look at that so quickly, and then the one at Tottenham.
Yeah, they're looking for 6 minutes, which is I know this isn't about Ange, but that's what Ange was like kind of getting on about, like the inconsistency of the VAR and the time it takes, all that kind of stuff, and it was absolutely mind-boggling. The guy came in with such force. I know he got the ball, but he could have snapped McAllister's leg in half.
Easily.
It was a massive leg breaker. It was a horrible, horrible challenge. And he should have been sent off easily. It should have been an easy decision for the referee. I couldn't believe it. So that was a major talking point. And I think they massively got away with that one, Tarkowski and Everton. But the big moment in the game, Beto 1-on-1. If he sticks that in, maybe he makes things awkward for Liverpool.
When he hits the post.
Yeah, the post. Missed it, and then Liverpool go on and get the winner. Wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, was it? Again, off the back of some other poor performances of late.
They're playing poorly at the moment, Liverpool, but they've just got about that enough quality just to get over the line even when they're playing poorly. So I think it'll be enough for them to win the league.
Are they going to is there a fear they might stumble their way to the title?
There's not a fear, it's a reality. I think they are stumbling their way to the title.
They got next Fulham away, then West Ham at home, then Leicester. So yeah,
how many games do they need to win?
So they're 4. So they're 12 points clear with 8 games to go. So they need another 5 wins, I guess, or 4 wins and a draw.
Well, they're definitely beating us. They're definitely beating Leicester. That's 2 games. Yeah, and I'm sure Arsenal will drop points as well.
And Arsenal are probably going to drop points. But other than that, they do actually have some hard games. They're Chelsea away. They do have Arsenal to play. Brighton away. Palace. They don't have a good record against Palace.
They'll draw against Arsenal.
But I think it's more to do with Arsenal. Probably not going to catch up with them.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, it is worrying for Liverpool because the way they go out the cups and the way they're stumbling towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and also with the contract situations hanging over their head. Trent on his way to Madrid.
Yeah.
As much as it will be an unbelievable achievement for Slot to win the Premier League in his first season and like incredible, like still something's not right there in a way.
What do you think about this kind of reaction from Liverpool fans surrounding Trent Alexander-Arnold about going to Real Madrid? There's been a lot of probably vitriolic hate towards Trent Alexander-Arnold in this decision.
I can understand the hurt, especially given that they're just about to win the league. So if he's thinking about, I need to go to Madrid to satisfy my ambition, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're like, well, why can't you do it here? We're just about to win the league.
But it's not about satisfying his ambition. What more has he got to do at Liverpool? He's won the Champions League. He's won the league. He's about to win the league again. He's won multiple other domestic trophies. Just because you come from Liverpool, does that mean you have to stay at Liverpool for the rest of your career? He's going to Real Madrid. He's going to the biggest club in the world. He's literally given Liverpool so much. So, I mean, I can understand they're upset about it, but for the vitriolic hate for one of your own like that, I think it's disgusting.
Some of the fans like photoshopping Conor Bradley in the Barcelona assist, saying, "Oh, what an assist by Bradley that was," and all these things, like just completely erasing him from the history of Liverpool, which I find
ridiculous.
Bizarre. I find all that bizarre, and I think that was all a bit ridiculous.
Like look at for example like Harry Kane, right? Spurs fans absolutely adore Harry Kane still. And I know it's a different situation and he had to move on to fulfill his ambitions and it's not exactly the same.
And we did get 100 million.
Yeah, but the money is the money. I mean, the money's got nothing to do with us, isn't it? The fans don't care about the money.
I think the fact that he's going for free is definitely a big part of it.
Right, if Harry Kane went for free, do you think Spurs fans would hate him?
I think a lot more would.
Nah.
Yeah, I think a lot more would.
I don't think so.
I don't think in general they would. I don't think every fan hates Trent. But I think there would be some, I think there would be some fans who would not be happy him leaving on a free.
Nah, I disagree. I don't see a reason why Spurs fans would hate Kane for leaving on a free. There's no reason. Because
he hasn't got any money for
the end of the day,
asset.
Not getting money is not down to Trent. That's down to the club. They could have sold him last year. You know what I mean? Like that's solely down to the club. It's got nothing to do with the player.
I agree with that. I know it's ridiculous the hate he gets. And I don't think it would be right to anyone to hate Kane as well. I'm just saying there will be fans who would.
I don't think so.
They would be. It's just that's the nature of fandom.
I just don't agree. I mean, I think the vast majority, maybe there'll be one or two, but the vast majority realise, with Harry Kane, for example, I'm talking about Tottenham fans here, realise what he gave to the club and his need to move on. Yes, I get it. With Trent, it's a bit different because there was no real need to move on. But what he's doing is he's going and fulfilling, the ambitions that he wanted to do in his career, and that's play for the biggest club in world football.
And maybe he just wants to try something new. You can't really begrudge a player for that. Maybe he doesn't want to be at the same club for his whole career.
But what he's given to that club and the trophies that he's won, I think it's disgusting from Liverpool fans for the way they're treating him.
I reckon he might be back there. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's going to be the massive success he was at Liverpool at Madrid, because the way Madrid play with Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius, they need really good defenders in that team.
Yeah, but you also look at it, right, next season it might be without Carlo, it might be with a different manager with different ideas, and they might play a completely different way.
I agree, it might be. I'm just saying that without front three, I guess Rodrigo does work really hard, but I don't know, I've got a feeling that for the Trent,
Vinicius works very hard as well.
Trent is a phenomenal talent. For me, the best right back, especially on the ball, one of the best we've ever seen, probably the best we've ever seen in history of the football, I would say, in that position. He's so unique. But Liverpool kind of tailor their tactics around him. Will Madrid do that? That's the thing.
Well, you're looking at his ability on the ball. Look at what he's going to do for those attacking options. Mm-hmm. He's going to feed them in like no one's ever fed them before. It's going to be crazy to see that. And you're talking about, attackers that don't do their defensive duties. Look at Mo Salah. Mm-hmm. Mo Salah doesn't exactly do his defensive duties.
Yeah, and they've kind of compensated for that with that midfield, and maybe Madrid can.
Look at the midfield that Madrid. They got Camavinga in there. They got Tchouaméni. They got players like Bellingham who they all work
another player.
So hard.
They work hard, but with Trent, he's such a specific player. I just got a feeling that I'm not saying it won't work out, but I think it's going to take a bit of time to work out. And whether Madrid fans are notoriously impatient, I think it's not going to be. I don't think he'll easily slot in there.
I think he's going to be an incredible success there. I think they're going to absolutely.
If
love
they're
him.
patient with him, yes. I reckon after 1 year, there's going to be a lot of people saying he should be sold.
Interesting. Hot take from Sim. Let's see what happens. But yeah, that's Liverpool. Let's move on to Chelsea. Tottenham finished 1-0 to Chelsea. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 2-1 to Chelsea. So I get a point on the board. It was a poor quality game of football, wasn't it? Both teams not really performing well. Chelsea doing enough probably to get the win for sure. But yeah, the main talking point was the substitution from Ange to take off Bergwijn, who was Spurs' best player on the night. Big boos and chants aimed at Postecoglou. You don't know what you're doing from the away end. Sarr comes on. Sarr scores. Ange cups his ears to the away end and says, and then waves to them, being like, "Well, do I still not know what I'm doing?" And then 5 minutes later, the goal gets ruled out, and Ange has egg on his face.
Yeah, absolutely the most Spursy kind of series of events you could ever kind of wish to concoct. I think if a creative writer would have concocted that, you probably would have said that's never happening. But only at Spurs, that's how it is. It was a poor game. Chelsea got the win. Goal from Enzo Fernandez. Big win for them in the race for the top four, and in the London derby as well to get the goal. They weren't overly impressive. It wasn't a game that showed me they're back on form massively, albeit they were better than Tottenham during the game and deserved the victory. Spurs will be left frustrated with another drab performance, and as well, they had a late miss at the end with Son, and he'll be annoyed that he couldn't turn that home, and that was probably their best chance of the game. But the big flashpoint was, the main talking was with, first of all, the Ange thing, and also VAR on 2 occasions taking 5+ minutes to make a decision, which I think probably isn't spoken about enough, because I think both of them, just goes to show, I think Ange makes a good point when he says, it got introduced in 2019. We're now, 6 years down the road with VAR now, 5 years, and it's still taking 6 minutes and 5 minutes to make a decision. Like, when's it ever going to get better? Yeah, and if it is always going to be like this, then maybe there is a case like it's just not ready. You know what I mean? It should never be a case where it's taking 5 minutes. It's ridiculous.
I feel like the technology is ready. The technology is ready. It's just that the people implementing it has no clue whatsoever. You look at the two decisions, the Liverpool one and the Tottenham one. The Tottenham one takes 6 minutes to come to, and they do get the right decision. The Liverpool one, they flash it up quickly, and they get the wrong decision. I don't know what these guys are doing, and I don't know what they're looking at. These guys are supposed to be professional referees, like in the back end. I just don't understand how they can get things so wrong. The Liverpool one, and I don't understand how it takes so long to come to a right decision. Like, me and you could be watching this on TV, and within a few seconds,
I saw one replay. Yeah, it's a foul.
and within a few seconds, right, we're saying that's what it is. But this one, they want to make a whole hullabaloo about it. 6-7 minutes wait, ask the ref to go over to the monitor. All this madness. It's just ridiculous. I don't see this happening in any other league.
But actually, they sent them. The weird thing is, they sent the ref to the monitor pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then the ref was there for like minutes and minutes and minutes, watching over and over again.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand what took so long. Just make a bloody decision. Well, you saw one replay and that was a foul. Move on. I think it was ridiculous. So there's a big discussion to be had about how 6 years down the line from VAR we're still taking this amount of time over decisions. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
It is a joke. But we do know that. I know it's got nothing to do with this, but automated offsides are coming.
Yeah, which would have helped with maybe the first goal.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Potentially. But look, it is what it is. But 1-0 Chelsea. Spurs suffer yet another defeat this season. And let's move on to the star men. Sim went for Erling Haaland. Luckily for you, I didn't capitalise on it with Mateta.
Yeah, still, to waste your Haaland card like that is hard to take. But is what it is. What can you do? It happened. He's injured. Looks like he's going to be injured for most of the season. So, yeah, gutting.
Yeah, so we end this week on 286 to Sim, 313 to myself. The gap is widening. Not at this. This is not what you want at this point of the season.
No, it's not. It's not a great gap there. But it can shorten in 1 week. So, never over.
All right, well, that is our review of the Premier League for this week. And yeah, that is a big gap going into next week, which we'll get into in a very short second.